Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Tuesday, the 4th of October, 2016, and this is episode 196, Sick Kid. So, about 10 minutes, less than 20 minutes after school started, I got a call from the school. Hi, Mara's in the office. She threw up in assembly. So, of course, they had to send her home. So, she's here now, and this is what I think happened. So last night she came home from school and we were all doing chores and she didn't want to do her chore. I mean, she did it mostly, but then she was just getting crabby and she was like, I'm going to go take a nap. And I was like, okay, that's a good idea because I don't want to deal with you when you're having this attitude. So she went to her room, and normally she does that and she comes back after about 5-10 minutes when she's calmed down. About a half hour later, I'm like, where is Mara? So I went down. She was sleeping. I was like, oh, okay. Apparently she was really going to take a nap. So she took her nap, and then her nap turned into a 13-hour nap. She slept until 6 this morning. Okay, fine. So she didn't have dinner, which I was like, well, I asked her if she was hungry, and she wasn't hungry this morning. So I think what happened is she went to school, she had breakfast, and she probably ate too much or ate something that was like too sugary. You know how sometimes your tummy can only handle certain things when you haven't eaten in a while? Well, I think that's what happened, and I think that's why she got sick, but she's here now. She's in the other room watching Netflix because Netflix just added a new My Little Pony Equestria Girl movie. Yay! So yeah, she might make appearances. I actually tried recording this intro. She came in late on me and was whiny and fussy and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll get through the whole thing and she won't bother me. It's hard to tell with her sometimes. So Finish or Frog 2016 is a thing that's happening. And it started on the 1st. Anything that is finished between the 1st of October and the 30th of November is eligible. And if it's something that was a work in progress before the start date of the knit along, then it's worth 2 entries. A frogged item is 1 entry. All of the rules and how to enter are in the thread in the Ravelry group. And there's a tag if you want to tag things on Instagram or on Ravelry. It's a BPHFOF16. So same thing as last year, just 16 instead of 15. And very exciting, we have some prizes. So these I hinted at last week. They're from Christina. And there are 2 prizes from her. So the first is a project bag, and I'll probably do it, the winners, it'll probably be grand prizes at the end, and the winners, the first person to contact me will get whichever one they want, and the other person will get the other one. It's probably how I'm going to do it. But that's like 2 months away, and I might forget that I said that now, so we'll see. Anyway, the first is this very cute project bag. It's a decent sized bag. It's definitely, okay, I'll show you what's inside here right now. So this is the first prize. This is the bag that she made. See, it says Mama C Creations. It's so cute. It's got all the little states on it with symbols of why can't I think of iconic things from the States? So inside this bag, there are some mini skeins for me, for my blanket, and the second prize, which is 100 grams of sock yarn. It is Lion Brand Sockies in the Red Hots colorway. I'm going to make sure this is 100 grams and I'm not telling you stories. Where is it? Yes, 100 grams. It's 438 yards. I have used this colorway to make several things. I used it to make a sweater, the color block for Gabriel, and then I used the leftovers to make socks. So that's the second prize. And I will revisit the other things that are in this bag when I get to new things. But yes, this is a generous size bag. I mean, that 100-gram sock yarn skein is lost in it. So thank you so much, Christina, for donating prizes. They are excellent and lovely. And yeah, thank you, Christina. I am blown away all the time by her generosity and the generosity of everyone who gets in contact with me about this podcast. I don't have any finished objects this week because I finished those socks while I was editing, and I put in a little video clip of the finished socks, but I will talk about them a little bit. I went to the concert on Friday, and I wore those socks, and they stayed up perfectly. I wore them to the concert without the ends woven in, because who can bother to weave in ends? Not me. Sometimes I get on a kick and I'm like, okay, all the ends that ever were or ever will be need to be woven in right now. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. But I did not feel that way yet. However, I'm kind of in that kick right now. I started weaving in some ends on things last night, so I will be weaving in more ends today as I go. So, works in progress. I have several, but the first one I'm going to talk about is, it's a new one that I'm pretty excited about, and I feel a little guilty because, so Q4 has started, and you might remember that this is the bag that had the Q4 yarn in it. Well, I started the Q4 socks on the 30th of September because I didn't have, Friday was a really big day. I went to see a movie with my best friend, which we haven't done since before Gabriel was born. We just haven't been to the movies together since that time. So it's been a really long time since we've gone to the movies, and I needed some movie knitting, and then I was like, well, I'm going to go to a concert, so I'm probably going to want some concert knitting too because I can't sit still. And there were a couple sets where I did not knit at all, but there were a couple sets where I knit through the set and in the breaks. So I'm glad that I started this project because I couldn't have taken a more complex or a bigger project to work on. Anyway, let's show you what I'm talking about instead of just babbling on. I started my Q4 socks, and the yarn is Peyton's Croy Socks Rag Shades in the blue striped rag. And this is a colorway that pretty much everybody has knit with. I've been hoarding this yarn for a really long time, and I have a couple progress videos because I was going to do a Bunny Fish Wanders sort of thing for you on Friday, but then I just got super bad about recording once I got to the concert. So I will just put in a couple progress clips of the socks. So this is where we are. I started this sock last night specifically, so I would have in theater knitting just in case. And it has a toe and then two, we'll call it 2.5 rounds of red. This is the sock that I knit on during the movie yesterday. So I did a full color repeat. And then I was like, oh, I got really far on that sock. Maybe I should take my other sock just so that, not that I'll run out of knitting, but just so that I don't run out of knitting. Because I did make it through a whole color repeat in the movie. And then all I had was the first round of red on this sock when I put the other one away and picked it up. And I am through 2 full color repeats, and I have decided that I'm going to do ribbing for most of the rest of the way. I haven't decided if I'm going to put in afterthought heels or not yet. If I do, they'll be true afterthought because I didn't put in any string, but I might just make them tube socks because I was talking about making tube socks for myself. And now I will show you where I'm at. I did start the toes in the Peyton's Croy Socks gray marl, just so that I could make these socks let's extend them a little. I'm not exactly sure how tall I'm going to make them, but I feel like probably knee socks. I'm making tube socks, I think. So I'm making tube socks, and here's where they are right now. This one, I'm about to start the next color repeat, so I'm going to start ribbing that. And then this sock is in that ribbing section. So you can see that I started ribbing in the red. So they're almost caught up to each other. And I wanted to work them so that they would be close, so I wouldn't get all the way to the end of one and then have to knit the other. So yeah, that is where these socks are. My plan, because these are my whole quarter, my plan is to only do a stripe a day, but since these are really good travel knitting, and none of my other projects right now are really great travel knitting, although I will talk about that in a couple of projects. None of them are really great travel knitting. These, I don't even know if these will make it to the end of October. They might be finished by then, and then I will have made my goal of having a pair of socks each quarter. I love this stripe. I love rainbows, and I love gray, so this is just perfect. And I kind of want like all the socks in them. I want knee socks, I want some like calfling socks, I want ankle socks, I want some yoga socks, but I only have these two balls, so I'm going to go with the knee socks. Those are the project that got the most work, honestly. I mean, I did a sock and a half, or no, I did 2.5 color repeats on Friday. I think that's right. I don't know, you will have seen it. I've already talked about that. So I did a very little bit of work on the rhombus socks, which is a pattern by Cookie A. I have, what is this, 4 rounds of the pattern going. So I finished the toe increases. Can you hear my sister? She's having a battle with a cat right now because he just wants to be her best friend, and she's like, no, I don't want to be your best friend. Anyway, so I'm about 4 rounds into the pattern. Just barely started it. And I was somewhere in the toe last week. Not a lot of progress on that. I worked on the cusp socks, also by Cookie A. These are both worked on, all of my socks are worked on US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles. And this is where I was last time I showed you the socks. I mentioned last week that I had worked on them, but I didn't show you progress. So I haven't done that much, about 1 inch. The yarn is hedgehog fibers. I don't remember the base. It's a sock base, and the colorway is monsoon. So it's just beautiful pinks and purples and blues, and the yarn is so soft. But I didn't work on these a lot because one of the children was cleaning in the living room where I have all of my projects, and instead of picking things up off the floor like they're supposed to, they stuffed some things behind my recliner. And I found my bag with the project because, hey, do you want to see some bags? Because I'm working with really cool bags today. So you saw the stripey socks, and the rhombus socks are in my zombie bag, which is from Sewn by Lindsay, who's on Etsy. And the cusp socks are in a Yarnivore bag that I got from my friend Becca ever ago. Anyway, back to cusp. So I picked up my bag and I saw this needle and I was like, oh, well, that's not normal, but not a big deal. I can bend that back. And then I found the other needle and it was bent like this. I was like, uh-oh, I don't know if I can fix this. So I tried bending it back and it snapped. Not all the way through, but I can't knit because I tested. I was like, maybe it'll be okay. Oh no, this little guy here, it bends this way. So now you can see there's a little catch. So my needles are broken. That's frustrating. And I wasn't sure if I had another pair of size 1 knitting needles because I don't have that many. I didn't replace the last pair that broke, so now I have a second pair that's broken. And luckily, Shelly had sent me the, what are these? The Addy Turbos, Addy Sock Rockets. So I found those in one of my drawers, and I was like, oh yay, I can continue on with the project. So that is why this has less progress than it should. I have lessons this week. Bless you. Thank you. So I'm really, really close to the heel. For real this time. The heel will at least be started next week. I have an eyelash trying to commit suicide. It's very frustrating. So what else did I work on? In this gorgeous wooden bowl, I have the Bad Nut Shawl, which is a pattern by Josh Ricks. This yarn is Solar Flare Fibers in the Jet Lag Zombie colorway. And I'm in the middle of a short row section, so I can't show you all of the things. But this is kind of what it looks like. There is a garter stitch portion right here, and then there's a stockinette portion here, and garter stitch again, and now I'm back to a stockinette portion. There are short rows, there are eyelets, but not a ton of eyelets so far. The pattern is designed to use up skeins that you don't really know what to do with because they're kind of crazy, which this one is. I mean, I could have made socks out of it because, as I said before, I can make socks out of anything, but I really want to make a shawl right now, even though I missed Shawltober. Shawltember. Yeah, that one. It doesn't matter. That's fine. I'm still going to make the shawl. The yarn is really nice. It's BFL, so it's a tiny bit scratchy, but it's really pretty, and it's going pretty well. I forgot why I don't like making shawls, and now I remember. It is because the rows in this particular shape and style of construction are very long, and they take a super long time. Not like a crazy amount of time, but more time than, say, a round on a sock, which, let's be honest, that's my knitting love. And so it's just not going particularly fast. In my kitchen counter crafter autumnal foxy bag, single shot size, I have the lovely Totoro mittens, and I have started the color work. And here it is. So that's the palm side. Can you see it says Totoro? Oh yeah, you can see that really well on there. And then this is the back where there will be the actual Totoro. This side has little dust bunnies on it. I love this pattern. This is the second time I'm making it, and it is Norwegian Totoro Mitts by Brella. I love Totoro so much, and I'm really sad that I lost my old mittens, so I'm glad to be working on these ones. I made the cuff longer than I made on the first pair because the first pair was just a little bit short for my coat, and I have the same coat because I don't buy new things until old things fall apart, and my coat's still good. So, random tangent. The yarn is from Dreamcatcher Alpacas. There's no colorway name, but there is this lovely gray and then a lovely blue. I'm working these on US size 4 needles, which is 3.5 millimeter. And the shawl I'm working on US 7s. And what else about these? I feel like there was something I was going to say. Mostly I decided that I was definitely making these because Katie of the Inside Number 23 podcast is having a color work knit along, and I was like, I've been wanting to make these mittens again, these colorwork mittens, and then I got these 2 skeins of yarn, and I was like, oh, those would be beautiful in something together. And then she was like, well, colorwork thing, and I was like, well, I guess I have to. And then Vicky from Heartland Knits told me that basically I had to make colorwork mittens. So, I mean, I said that I was probably going to make them, and she was like, that has to happen. Not in those words, she's way more polite than I am. But yeah, toe mittens are going very slowly. Colorwork takes me a little bit longer than, say, stockinette socks. But it's going pretty well, and I'm enjoying the process, and I will love the product. I also am working on, hold on, I only have 10 more stitches, my log cabin blanket. That is the project of the month that I have to work on. And I have decided that to have it count as the 4 hours, I am going to finish the next 2 blocks. So I have started this brown block. I'm a little bit behind the 1 row a day. I'm at 2.5 right now because I didn't bring it up from storage until yesterday. But I will do this brown block, and then on this side will be pistachio, and then this round on the blanket will be complete. So that's exciting. I'll have the center square and then 2 subsequent layers out at the end of this month. I think it's hilarious when my sister fights with the cats. I do not get involved, I just snicker. So this blanket is knit on US size 8 needles. It's all Caron Simply Soft. The gray is, I want to say gray heather, but I might be making that up. This brown is chocolate or coffee. I can never remember. I should double check, but I'm not going to today. It's in the show notes though. This green, light green is pistachio. This dark green is sage, and the light cream color is called bone. I also worked on my mitered square blanket. I put in square number 57. This is the yarn from Christina. And I did a barn raising square, which I just have to bind off one side, and this is the same yarn from Christina. So it's this lovely long color change blue yarn. It looks green on the screen. I'm sorry about the lighting. It looks more blue there. So yeah, that's barn raising square number 90. 0 hexapuffs this week. It just didn't happen. Some weeks I can't get my stuff together. So new things, I have minis from Christina, and I actually haven't even pulled them out to look at them yet. So let's see what's in this bag, and then I'll put them in my bag of others. All of these, they're all blues and greens to go into my mitered square blanket. And ooh, except this one. That's not blue or green, but that's pretty. That's really, really pretty. That's not going in my blanket, but I have other projects that can go into. I wonder if this is enough. This looks like enough to make a barn raising square. We'll see. Okay, and then she also sent some tea. So there's Stash Maple Apple Cider, Trader Joe's Pomegranate White Tea. That sounds delicious. Irish Breakfast by Twinnings, and Stash Lemon Ginger, which is really good. So thank you, Christina, again for sending the prizes and also sending mini skeins for me. I appreciate it greatly. Oh, it's so exciting. It's always really exciting when packages arrive here because the kids are like, who's that for? Who got a present? Let me see. Let me see. And then when it's for me, they're still really excited even though it's not for them. because I have awesome children. They're like, oh, that's so pretty. They really liked the bag. I have just reading and a podcast recommendation. So I'll do the podcast recommendation first. I started watching last night. What is it called? Stash and Notions with Penelope, who is in Victoria, Australia, and she is a viewer. So hi. She posted yesterday, I want to say, in the Finisher Frog chatter thread about something that a project that she was asking her viewers about. And I was like, what? I had seen that she had sent me a PM inviting me to a group sometime in the near past. But I just can't get my act together right now. So things like invites to groups are not being looked at right this minute. And then she posted something in the thread, and I was like, oh, a podcast. So I went and watched all of them. I haven't finished the most recent one that she just posted on the 2nd, but I did start it. So she is adorable. Also, she has an accent that is not my accent, so that's super fun. And she talks about what she's wearing, which is not always things that she's made. She talks about local shops around her. It's just a really good podcast. So go give it a look if you don't know where to find it, and I forget to link it in the show notes because I've been really bad about that recently. Go find her post in the Finisher Frog chatter thread. She is Miss Red Pen. So go find that. And then what I'm reading. I am so close to finished with Poison Fruit by Jacqueline Carey that I'm not going to talk about it next week unless something really crazy happens in the last 10 pages of the book. I only have 10 pages left. I could have read it before I started podcasting, but then I was like, oh, I should podcast so I can start processing. So, Poison Fruit. I'm reading that. I'm greatly enjoying it. The whole trilogy is very good. It's okay, so I never read the backs of books. Not true. I super rarely read the backs of books. I usually just pull a book off the shelf and say, yep, I'll read that based on the title or the cover. So when I very occasionally read the backs of books, I'm always a little surprised by how very, very little they actually talk about the book in these descriptions. I mean, obviously, this is just a tiny portion of a page, and this book is 456 pages long. So a lot gets left out, details and stuff. But like, the things that, like this summary covers like only the first third of the book. This doesn't tell you anything about the book. That's just a rant. I don't know how you would write it better. That's why I don't read the backs of books, because it doesn't actually tell you anything. Anyway, I greatly enjoyed The Story of Daisy. That's her on the front of the cover. It's very well written. It's a pretty quick read, and I highly recommend pretty much anything by Jacqueline Carey. But if you like urban fantasy, this is a good one, because I don't even like urban fantasy, and I like this. Not because it's Jacqueline Carey, just because I like it. I also started Shallodor's Lady by Anne Bishop because I couldn't find Poison Fruit. I left it in my car. And I was like, well, maybe I left it out in my car, but it was like 10 o'clock at night, and it wasn't super cold outside, but it was a little cold, and it was a little rainy, and I was like, I can't do it. And this was sitting on my desk. So I was like, okay, I'll read that instead. I am not super far into it, probably 50-ish pages. But again, I'm enjoying it. It follows the characters in the book that was just previous to this. What was that called? The Shadow Queen? Oh no.
I'm not going to school now.
You can't go to school now.
I Yes, I could.
No, babe. You got sent home and you can't go. She's very distressed
Yes, I
that
could.
she can't go back to school.
Oh,
Because that's all she wants to do. It sucks telling her she can't go because she threw up this morning, even though she's fine now.
I did not throw up.
Okay, Mara. You want to say goodbye?
No.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye. So I hope
No.
you made something fantastic with your sticks and string.
Bye.
And I will see you next week. Bye.
I'm going to say bye.
Okay.
Bye.